Hey everyone, it's Gamefruitpulp and welcome back to another episode of Building Toronto. Today we're going to be taking a look at a few smaller builds that have been completed on the project, sort of doing a top-up, if you could call it, of some projects or some builds that have been completed. Most of them are next to each other in this block here, as well as a build that has been on our to-do list for pretty much since we started this project that I've finally gotten around to completing, so we're going to be taking a look at that as well. Before we get into it, I just want to welcome all the new viewers to my channel. I've again had another big bump of subscribers from a post from Reddit, so I would like to welcome all of you and thank you for coming aboard. Hope you enjoy the videos. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the buildings of the block. Not all of this block specifically, not all of them are historically significant or have any significance at all as far as I could find. So I will tell you a little bit about the buildings that I could find something about, and we'll just take a look at the other ones. And if you guys find anything or know of anything that I didn't find, be sure to let me know that, and we'll definitely mention it in other videos coming up. So we're going to start with the block of King in the south, Adelaide in the north, Yonge in the west, and Victoria in the east. This block has a variety of buildings, mostly, I believe all of them actually, are offices. So it's a fully commercial, or I guess we'll call it office block. With the exception of the retail stores on the bottom floor, obviously. That's a little bit of a different story. We're starting off in this corner on the northeast corner of Yonge and this would be King. And just taking a look at this sandstone building here, the RBC Building, one of two. This is obviously the other one here, the sandstone one. But this one has a little bit of history to it, so we're going to talk about that first. This is a 20-story building, the Royal Bank Building. It's located on the northeast corner of Yonge and King Street, and it was completed in 1915. So it's actually 105 years old, which is, when you think about it, quite impressive. A lot of the buildings in the city, you don't really realize how old they really are. And a building like this, to think it's been around for more than 100 years, is quite a cool thing. It was designed by the architectural firm Ross and McDonald, who I recognize the name, and I know they've obviously designed some other things. I want to say Commerce Court as well, but that's just a guess. I'm not certain on that. And the City of Toronto designated the building under the Ontario Heritage Act in 1976. The building is also known by its municipal address of 2 King Street East. It is 90 meters in height, and it was the tallest building in Canada until 1928. So there you go. It is definitely a historic building. I didn't actually realize that part, that it was the tallest building at one point, and we will fly up to the top here and take a look at what it sees today. Obviously, not everything is rendered into the south to try and make sure that I'm not going to have low frames. I want to try and have the best frames possible for you guys. But you can see from the roof line, now it's blocked by quite a bit. Obviously, to the west, you can't see anything anymore. To the east, you can't see much either. But still a memorable build for sure for the city, and an important build as well. And so now on the main floor, I believe there's a sleep country, and then there's offices above it, mostly owned by Royal Bank. As we make our way east along King, we have another commercial building here. I'm standing on a roof. Commercial building here, and I believe that's a Tim Hortons. I didn't build this block. Most of it was built by Storm, so thank you to him. But as a result, I don't really know too many details about the lobby level, like the restaurants and that kind of thing. So we'll just sort of glide in here and see if they're labeled. Here's the Tim Hortons. Okay, so I knew there was a Tim Hortons somewhere between these two builds. So this is where the Tim Hortons is. Again, all office buildings in here. Moving down, this is again another sandstone build, probably a little bit older in timeline, but I couldn't find any details on it. This is one that I feel like there may be information on. So if somebody does have any information that I couldn't find, and you want to let me know in the comments, that would be great. I'd be more than happy to share that with all of the viewers in the next episode if you do find something something to share. This is an example of a building in Toronto that was built a long time ago and I guess is historic, but is also not the most visually appealing. This is actually more detailed than the real life build, which I didn't think was possible. When Storm was building this, I sort of flew over and I'm like, what are you doing here? And he's like, look at the actual build. And I looked and it was basically this. So not my favorite build in the city, that's for sure, but I guess it gets the job done. It's suitable for some offices, so that's really what that is. We'll head over to this one last, so we'll come back to this building here, and we'll take a look at these shorter builds as well. I really like this style. And this is a theme we've seen a little bit on Yonge Street further to the south as well, of these lower 2 or 3 story builds with the restaurant or the store on the bottom and a couple apartments on top. And I like them because they're very, I don't even know what the right word to describe it is, but they're very, you get this sort of old town vibe from them, the historic vibe that even though this is a building that's over 100 years old, when you walk by it, because it's so tall, you don't really get the historic vibe from this that you do out of these smaller buildings. That you sort of, when you walk by things like this and you see the detail and the intricacies of these builds, you realize how much work went into it and how difficult these must have been to do, especially 100 years ago when there wasn't as much technology. And that really appreciates the amount of work that was put into building the city up. And I think that's one of the reasons why, despite the city having some things it could obviously improve, I think every city has some things it could improve. When you look at the details of builds like this, you sort of not forgive those mistakes, but realize while there is a lot to improve on, there's so much that's been done and so much progression. And it's sort of, I guess that's a sort of more positive way to look at things, but that's just what I always find myself doing, especially even when I am spending like downtown for something and I'm just walking down. Yonge Street is one of my favorite streets to walk down because of that. You see all these intricate builds and you can sort of stop and take in the amount of work that the architects and the stonemasons and everyone who had a part in building these builds got to do. And I think that is one of the things that makes the city really great. Carrying on to inside the actual plaza here, there's a little bit of a park. Storm did his best to capture that as well. So it's always good to have a little bit of greenery in the city. Something else I think we take for granted is Toronto does have an actual decent amount of grass space, and obviously with the expansion of like things like green roofs, that's improving even more. But the little park in here is always a place that I found interesting. And when I was walking downtown, it was a place that I sort of wandered into a couple times just to check out because it's a unique little thing about the city that many people don't know about, because the only way to really see it from Yonge Street is if you come through this little tunnel. So if you're walking south on Yonge Street, I don't know what it's like in the winter. I never saw it in the winter, but in the summer it was actually a pretty nice place to go and relax for a couple minutes. You're walking down Yonge Street, walking from, I don't know, we'll say walking from the Eden Center to Union Station or something. As you're approaching, be on the lookout for this little tunnel, and you walk over here and you'll find this nice little park. So it's a good place to come and check out, and one of those unknown hidden gems of the city, which is always great to have. Not sure what happened here, but we have sheep on the roof. I'd be interested to know how that happened, but we'll leave that there for now. The last building on the block, before moving on to the other thing we're going to talk about in this video, is the channel I keep the notes in. Someone just pasted something in for another building. So the other building on this block that we haven't talked about is the tower here you're looking at. It's known as a couple names, but the two most common names are Dundee Place and the Dynamic Funds Tower. This was completed in 1991, and it is 129 meters tall, obviously serving as office space as well as some commercial and food restaurant style attractions on the bottom floor. There's 30 floors above the ground and 3 underground that we have not built. We don't really do basements. And the architect is Page and Steel Inc. And again, another really a build that is one that blends in with the city quite a bit, but it also has quite a few unique features. The restaurant down here it's been a couple restaurants. I think it's changed a few times, but it's always had a pretty unique terrace, which is something that I've always noticed when walking by it. And obviously the entrance has this unique stained glass as well at the top. And that's really it, I believe, for this. So just a quick amendment before we move south to the last part of the build. I had a feeling I wanted to double check that this build had some sort of history to it as well, because I was even in the Minecraft version of the project, I was drawn to its intricacies and the brick base, and I was trying to figure out what it was. And so even though I didn't have anything on it, I went and double checked, and it is actually quite an old build, and a build that had quite a bit of history to it as well. It was actually completed originally in 1857 and is known as the Tin and Copper Smith Building. It had additions built onto it in 1895 and was altered in 1910 and 1914. Right now it just serves under as a restaurant on the main floor. I think it was originally a sandwich shop, and now it's a basil box. and then there's some condos on the top. And it is designated under the Ontario Heritage Act as a heritage building. And originally, in 1895, was built by Charles John Smith. So quite interesting. A build that's almost as old as the country itself. So definitely something I didn't want to miss. And even though I kind of made the video a little bit choppy near the end, I definitely wanted to make sure I amended that and mentioned it so that you guys knew. Moving down to the last thing we're going to talk about in this video, going back to the first thing I ever built on the project, Brookfield Place. It has finally been completed. The interior here, as you walk in, has been completed. I tried to put a pretty good amount of effort into it. We have a Tim Hortons over here. We have the Spirit of Hockey store with the Hockey Hall of Fame in here with a little hockey sculpture outside. We have a tiny root store that I couldn't really fit much in because I don't know how they fit it in real life based on the building shape, but it's here as well. And this part's all the same. You've seen this if you watch. If you haven't seen this, my first 5 videos, I believe, are all on Brookfield Place. There might be one on RBC Plaza, but the rest are on Brookfield Place. So if you want to go watch those, they're almost 2.5 years old now. Believe it or not, or almost 3 years old now, I guess. But they're still there, and my voice might sound a little bit different, and all that. My building skills might not be as good, but still proud of this build. I mean, we had to redo this roof in here 3 times, but aside from that, everything went pretty well. Put this book the right way. I don't know which way it goes anymore. Okay, we'll leave it like that. And the last thing in here is obviously the Marché. If anyone's been to this area, the Marché is well known, and I tried to sort of capture the different rooms and the buffet style main area, and then the different sort of rooms that the place has to the best of my abilities. There's a little bit of artistic liberty taken here just because of the amount of there's not that many pictures of it, but I tried to get, for example, like I don't know where in the restaurant the bar is, but I tried to capture the bar the way it looked to the best way I could. The bar is purple. It has the same sort of roof tiles. There's some room with the yellow tabletops and that kind of stuff. So that is everything. The main purpose, like I said, I sort of talked about, the main point of this video was this big block, but I figured I'd throw in Brookfield Place as well, and a little bit of history that sneaks up on you. And I think that's an important lesson for people in general, and for myself with the city of Toronto is don't take things for granted. I almost took a building that's as old as our country as just a building in the city, just another random building. And I guess every building has a story, and you just gotta find out what it is before you know the full story. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're new to the channel and you enjoyed, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you're a returning viewer and you enjoyed, be sure to hit like and share the channel with some of your friends so that we can keep growing and keep expanding this community. I'm been really happy, obviously, with the growth past month or 2 on the channel and the attention the project's been getting. It's really made the hard work of myself, and I'm sure I speak for other builders as well. It's really made the extra work we've done worth it. So we're all glad that you're enjoying the project, and I will catch you guys next time. So this has been Minecraft, the Building Toronto project. My name is Gamefruitpulp, and I will see you guys all next time. Have a good one.